Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'd like to just start by acknowledging that we are gathered on Treaty 6 territory and acknowledging the Métis people who share a deep connection with this land. I'm Christina Gray. I'm the Labour Critic for the Alberta NDP, and I'm joined here today by Rachel Notley and Terry Parker, the Executive Director of the Building Trades of Alberta. And I want to say a big thank you to United Association of Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local 488 for hosting us here today, and thank you everyone for joining us. We are thrilled to be at the Alberta Pipe Trades College, a state-of-the-art training facility, to share some exciting news for the province and the thousands of skilled trade workers who make our economy strong. We know that there is a shortage of skilled trades workers in Alberta, and that shortage is only getting worse. We need to train more workers here, and we want our economy to grow and thrive now and into the future. So Rachel and I are here today with an announcement that will benefit all Albertans and the province that we call home. But first, I'd like to turn over things to Terry Parker, the Executive Director of the Alberta Building Trades. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Christina and Rachel Notley and members of the NDP caucus for joining us at the UA Local 488 Alberta Pipe Trades College here in Edmonton today. It's always a pleasure to host our elected officials and to highlight the good and important work done at training centers like this and across the province. BTA members have proudly built and maintained our province for more than a century. And it's through centers like this that they get the skills and training they need to be the best in the business. I and the 18 local unions within the BTA appreciate the support Rachel has shown the Building Trades of Alberta, our affiliates, and the industries they operate in, including oil and gas, renewables, alternative energy, commercial projects, infrastructure, and more. Our training centers turn out thousands of the best trained, highest skilled, and safest in the trades workforce. And their skills are in very high demand. In fact, we just had a large American single-breasted contractor here today. Here yesterday to explore working solely with the UA Local 488 and the building trades to provide thousands of jobs to local union members and the owners we work for. Not only are the union training centers essential to skilling up workers, but they're essential to several major industries and to Alberta's overall economic health. That's why we're excited to have Rachel here today to discuss her party's plans to support union training centers in Alberta. Thank you, Christina, and thank you, Rachel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Terry, and thank you to all of the very diverse members involved in union training centers. I'd now like to turn it over to Rachel.
Well, thank you so much, Terry, and thank you, Christina. Thank you for hosting us, and thank you as well to all the students who are here today, both for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us, and also for making the choice to pursue a career in the skilled trades. We are very much depending on these folks behind me to construct the buildings and the infrastructure and the industrial facilities of the future here in Alberta. And as Christina and Terry said, the Building Trades of Alberta operate more than a dozen state-of-the-art training centers throughout Alberta. The BTA trains tens of thousands of students like those who are with us here today, who go on to become apprentices and then certified journey persons. BTA's successful partnership with the Trade Winds to Success has become an important pathway to employment for Indigenous Albertans. And the same is the case with Build Together, Women of the Building Trades. Although women only represent 4% of workers in the construction workforce today, that number doubles when you're looking at unionized job sites. Now, obviously, that we know we still have to do much better, but we also know that through this kind of education, this kind of education provides support that's invaluable to breaking those barriers. In fact, the training programs run by or partnered with the BTA are so successful that many of them are oversubscribed. So we know that the demand for increased capacity is there, particularly since BTA apprenticeship training programs allow students to earn while they learn, making these programs easier to access for many Albertans who are looking for it. I'm also excited to hear that a large-scale single-breasted contractor that does most of its work in the United States was here yesterday to tour this facility in preparation for creating good-paying jobs right here in Alberta. In fact, across North America, contractors are partnering with union halls like Alberta Pipe Trades because of the training centers that they have. And they turn out the highest skilled, best quality, safest workers in the trades workforce. And it's in centers like this behind me that provides that quality of labor. Not everyone is aware of this, but these union centers are actually provincially recognized educators, just like NAIT and SAIT. But unlike our post-secondary schools, these centers don't get a penny in provincial funding, and that needs to change. I'm pleased to announce that should we be so lucky as to form the next government, we will scale up the number of Albertans who can seek trade skills by directly funding centers like this one. We'll start with a few million, and if demand is met, we'll double it. And if that demand is met, well, we'll double it again, and so on and so on. I want every person who walks through the door to have a space here. I want a good union job to be within reach of anyone who wants one. Skilled trades workers build our roads, our schools, our hospitals, our rec centers, our public facilities. They build our pipelines, our refineries, our petrochemical plants. They build our communities and our economy. And union shops are a critical vehicle for apprenticeship training, safety training, new credentialing, and industry standard upgrading. Not only that, apprentices who train through a union are more likely to complete that education and actually become a journey person. So we see so much hope for the future, and given the opportunity, the Alberta NDP wants to partner with trade unions on shaping the workforce of tomorrow. Now, before I take your questions, I'll also just note that inflation figures are out today. Prices are still rising quickly, and Alberta still has the slowest wage growth in Canada. And that's why we need a government focused on good-paying jobs now and into the future. And that's what's so good about this kind of program. Students can earn while they learn and build a career that provides a good life for families and for themselves. And I want Alberta to recognize union-led training for what it is, a critical strategy for skilling up our workforce in centers that are prepped, primed, and led by skilled unionized journey persons. Thank you, and we're certainly very happy to take any of your questions.
Thanks, and we'll start with questions in person.
This might be for both of you, but as I look at the students standing here, it's not your 18, 19-year-old coming out of high school. There's a wide range of ages here. We're going through a transition. How important, and do these centers typically focus on this age group, or how important is it to ensure that we get this variety of age group in the training?
Well, let me start, and then I'll let you jump in there, Terry. So, I mean, I think it's really important. More and more, we learn that people will change careers more than once over the course of their career life. And as Alberta's economy recovers from COVID, from the crash in oil prices, we know that folks are going to have to learn new skills. And so, in government, it's our job to give them that pathway, to support them as they give themselves more opportunities and also as they participate in the growth and the diversification of our economy. So part of that involves understanding that our workforce will make changes more than once. And that's a scary thing to do, but the fact that these folks earn while they learn makes it a lot easier and easier on their families. But I'll let Terry answer that question in more specific. Yep.
So are we good?
Yeah.
So the building trades over the last 10 years has been pushing for more diversity in the trades. We want to see more women in the trades. We want to see more Indigenous. We want to see more young people. We want to see more new Canadians. And that's been one of our focuses. So this is we're starting to see the new generation coming forward, which is healthy for not just for us, but for all of Alberta. So that's what we're trying to push for. If you would have been back here 20 years ago, it probably wouldn't have been your standard class, but we're starting to see that change happening now, and it's a good thing. It's healthy. So
I'd like to go off topic if I can. Premier Smith issued an apology yesterday for the comments on Ukraine from the spring. What do you make of first her comments, the apology, and the time it took to get there?
Well, as I say, of course, better late than never. But what we need to understand is that this is, not the first event. This is, yet another apology and misstep in a long line of missteps that we've seen since she's first been sworn in, all of which have hurt our reputation on the international stage, undermined our ability to attract investment and new people to the province, and thereby jeopardizing the job security and the job opportunities of all Albertans. And so she needs to stop doing this. This is chaos and conflict and cost every time she opens her mouth, and she needs to stop.
I'm Brandon with CTV News. Also have a quick off-topic question. Can you comment on what we're hearing, 17-hour wait times at the Stollery Children's Hospital right now, and kind of where you think the root cause of that is, and what you would propose to fix it?
Well, let me start by saying when it comes to the 17-hour wait times at the Stollery Hospital, my heart goes out to the families and the parents who are showing up there with their kids who are obviously sick enough to send parents to the emergency room, only to discover that they have to wait 15, 16, 17 hours. I remember going to the ER with my kids when they were young, and my kids never had to wait more than an hour or half an hour. And so it's unacceptable, and I want those folks, those parents, to know that an NDP government will get to work immediately on dealing with the issues that will help bring this emergency under control. We have chaos in our healthcare system right now, and the UCP's only plan is to create more chaos. And what we need instead is to reestablish stability, to properly fund the system, and to work collaboratively and respectfully with the healthcare leaders within that system to come up with the best ways to attract more folks to Alberta who will give us the help and support we need in those important frontline roles. Allow me also as well to finish up on that question you asked, Tom, with respect to Danielle Smith's apology. As I said, it is very much a problem in that it took too long, and our reputation was hurt internationally. What we need is a government that will actually focus appropriately on stabilizing the work being done in this province, providing stable leadership, and sending a message to the rest of the world that we are a place where they can count on the government to build the economy, work with new investors, make sound evidence-based decisions, and welcome all people into this province. And that's a message that an Alberta NDP government would send.
We'll go to questions on the phone. Just a reminder to press star 9 if you're on the phone, raise hand function if you're joining us via Zoom. If you could say your name and your outlet at the top. Go to our first caller.
I believe this question should be for Terry. I was hoping you could talk about, how many facilities this funding would go towards, and, talk a little bit specifically what this funding would actually help.
We're looking at probably around 12 to 15 facilities throughout Alberta that this would actually assist with. And where it would assist is helping us bring in not just the upskilling, but looking at more of the apprenticeship training as well, and to try to get more apprentices into the system. Because that's the one thing that we do need here in Alberta, is we need to start getting more people involved in the trades in order to fill a lot of the calls that we have out there currently. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that this would help us get more people trained up, not just upskilling, but into the apprenticeship system as well. Is there any follow-up to that?
Yeah, Terry, could you talk about a little bit about, I guess, the lack of people in the trades right now?
Yes, what we're seeing is there's a lot of calls. It's because right across Canada, it's been busy, and actually right across North America. So in the past, where we would rely on the maritime provinces, Ontario, BC even, to come into Alberta to help us fill a lot of our calls for labor supply, what we're seeing now is a lot of people are instead staying in their home provinces or not even coming out to Alberta to help us on these projects. So with a lot of the major projects coming forward, such as Air Products, Dow, the shutdown season next year, we're going to need more and more people coming into the trades, and the economy is starting to turn around after the pandemic. So what we're starting to focus on is trying to get more apprentices trained up and working with us in the trades.
We'll go to our next caller.
Is there a follow-up? No?
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello.
Oh, hi, it's Dean from CP calling. So a couple questions, sorry, off topic again. On the Premier's apology, do we need to know, I mean, we've gone from not addressing it to telling Shay Gannon she can't address it because it's not her job, to a full apology, but we don't really know, it says past comments. Do we need some specificity from this Premier in terms of what she's retracting and what her views are now, specifically on Ukraine? And by that I mean, Rachel, you look at what she said about just a few months ago. She said Ukraine should be neutral because that would be in Russia's best interests, basically giving up its right of self-determination to another country. Yet at the same time, Danielle Smith ran her campaign on self-determination for Alberta. Is there not a lot of questions here to clear up?
Well, honestly, I mean, we could go down quite a rabbit hole in terms of all the questions that Danielle Smith's previous comments over the last year, let alone the last 10 years, have created, and the degree to which they need to be cleared up. Let me be clear. I mean, she's apologized for about one of the 4 missteps that she's stumbled into over the course of the last week and a half. She only did so after it made international media the second time. In the long term, the record of this Premier in terms of saying things which are very out of step with mainstream thinking and mainstream consensus is worrisome, and it's worrisome in terms of the message that is going to be sent internationally as well as nationally to potential investors and to people that we need, just as Terry was just saying, that we need to have come move here to help build our economy, that I was just talking about the healthcare folks that we need to recruit to come here. I mean, there's a whole range of folks. So without getting into a dive on her comments around Ukraine, other than, of course, to acknowledge how deeply ill-informed and inappropriate they were, these comments are a long line of ill-informed, extremist, disconnected from the mainstream comments, which serve to hurt Albertans in a number of different ways, but in every case, in a way that undermines and destabilizes our economic growth. And so I think, I don't, honestly, the answer is this, Dean. I mean, quite honestly, we're in election season. The answer is for Albertans to choose a new government and to choose a new Premier. And my position on this is that the Alberta NDP is well equipped to lead this province to grow the economy, to create a resilient jobs economy, and to deliver a message of competence, stability, of progressive, innovative leadership, not only to people in the province, but people outside of the province, nationally and internationally, as we do the work that's necessary to grow our economy well into the decades to come.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah, just quick. Yeah, I was just looking at one of the tweets from the head Menchie yesterday talking about the Justin Ling stuff. A couple of poli-sci professors have weighed in with the same concerns. do we have a larger issue here with our premier? They're saying that they have concerns now that we have a premier who can't really distinguish between evidence-based commentary from conspiracy fantasy. Do you share those concerns?
Well, I mean, I share these concerns not only about the premier, but about the party that selected her to lead our province. The things that Danielle Smith have said over her career are not exactly news. I mean, they're newsworthy in how disconnected they are from the mainstream and how destabilizing and chaotic they are. But they're not news in that we're only just discovering she said them. And the fact of the matter is she said some of her things during the campaign, and her record was very public. And yet the UCP, as a party, chose her to lead this province. And now that mainstream Albertans and mainstream Canadians and investors all around the world are getting a chance to look under the hood at some of the views of Danielle Smith, they are deeply worried, and it is deeply destabilizing. And it is a thing that I hope Albertans will choose to move away from. And there is an option for them to do it, and the option at this point, this close to an election, is to vote NDP.
We'll go to our next caller.
Well, hi there, it's Catherine Gurkowski with Alberta Today. So both you and the UCP have emphasized the importance of earning while learning and the importance of training up the trades. I'm wondering, is there anything from their plan so far that you would carry on in addition to these union-based trading shops, or is there something you take away? How does your plan for the trades compare with the UCP's?
Well, I believe that the UCP has also offered up some small grants or support to the building trades around education, but they haven't talked about going this full step of certifying these certifying and helping to fund these building trade education centers, so that they can do more of the kind of work alongside the NATES and the SATES of the world. Alberta is the only, other provinces have in fact engaged with the building trades to invite them to be the actual provider of the full scale of education required to have more journey people available and trained within the province. And that is a piece that the UCP has not done. And so we would take what they've done and build off of it in the way that I've just described. It makes good sense. As Terry said, we're trying to draw people into this line of work at this point. And the building trades have a strong connection to the job site. They have a strong connection to the workforce. And so they're well placed to provide that kind of certainty and relationship to potential apprentices and ultimate journey people. And so that's why it makes good sense to be partnering with them alongside the fact that they have a strong record of providing high quality world-leading training and safety training and all those things. So so as I say, we would not necessarily undo what the UCP has done, but this is a significant add.
You have a follow-up, Catherine? Any follow-up, Catherine?
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. I do have a follow-up. Yeah, related to Dean's question, actually, you had mentioned that it's kind of not news that Danielle Smith had held these beliefs and the party voted for her anyway. And I'm thinking back to the 2019 election and when you had sort of this website of some of the past statements Jason Kenney had made. And as you head into the fall convention this weekend, how big of a role is this going to play in the strategy, and what exactly is going to be different this election than last election when it comes to bringing up some of these past statements?
Listen, I think that what's most different between the last election and this election is that at this time, Albertans are focused essentially on two very important issues. They're focused on having a government that will address the affordability crisis that they are facing every month, at the end of the month, when they're sitting around their kitchen table and trying to figure out how to make ends meet as they do their monthly budgeting and bill paying. And they're focused on having a government that will stop the chaos in our healthcare system and assure people that if they or their loved ones have an accident or develop a serious illness, that they can get the health care that they need. And those are new issues. And what we know now is that this UCP, we have a 4-year record of the UCP essentially doing pretty much everything we expected them to do that we talked about in 2019. But we don't have to talk about it as much now because Albertans have now seen it. And more importantly, at this point, Albertans are looking for someone who will provide them with a hopeful vision about how to address the things that matter to them. And that's what we are going to do with respect to Albertans, because that's what being an accountable democratic candidate looks like. And so our strategy will be defined by what Albertans tell us matters so much to them.
We'll go to our next caller. Go ahead, caller. Your line should be open. Well, seeing no other questions, that's all for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Much for watching, and to learn more, check out albertasfuture.ca.